Jagrative. There are so many ways that people get lost, even if they're sincere and they want to grow and seek spirituality. When it's all said and done, it's all very, very simple. The mind complicates it, and the world sure as heck complicates it. You are inside, you are conscious of being aware, you exist. That's the beginning of the simplicity. If you didn't exist, there wouldn't be a problem. If you weren't aware, there wouldn't be a problem. But nor would there be any experience. The most prime experience is the innate experience of existence. If I ask you, hi, are you in there? I've done this since the 70s. No one has ever said no. Doesn't matter what nationality they are, doesn't matter creed, beliefs, God, not God, atheist, Catholic, doesn't matter. Are you in there? Yes. That's the most prime experience. The experience of being the experiencer, the experience of being in there. You do not have to do anything to do that. It is the most effortless thing that exists. You're just there. It is the nature of your existence, the nature of your being, that you are aware. I am that I am. That's how God said his name was, didn't he? When Moses asked, I am that I am. That's what I am. That which is. So that's the beginning of the simplicity. Now the question becomes, what is it like in here? What am I aware of? Not am I aware. You are aware. What I'm aware of. What you're not aware of, and someday you'll understand you should be, it is meant to be, you're not aware of a state of absolute ecstatic bliss at all times. You're not aware of just being blown away by the love, the joy, the light, the ecstasy pouring into your experience of being. That's an experience that you can have. That's an experience that is real. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And notice I said all the time. None of this yin-yang stuff. None of this you have to be low in order to know what high is. Don't you believe one single word of it. That's in the world of duality. In the world of truth, you exist. And your most primal experience is the nature of your own being. Existence has a nature, just like everything has a nature. And the nature of your existence, without any effort, without anything, just pure existence, is ecstasy. In India, the ancient scriptures, they have the same name for God as they have the description of the nature of self. Satchidananda, eternal conscious ecstasy. Every master who ever returned to the seat of being, and these sound like just words, we'll talk about them, to the pure seat of being. Not what am I aware of, but I am aware. What is the nature of awareness itself? It is ecstasy. It is overwhelming joy, period. So, spirituality is about returning to the source of self. Spirituality is about returning to the source of being, spirit. That's what spirituality is. Nothing else. Well, why would it be hard to be who I am? Can we discuss it? It is hard to be who you are. It shouldn't be hard to be who you are, because you are who you are. The reason is as follows. Because you are aware of what's in front of you. What's in front of you is not you. It's what you're aware of. It's what we call the case of subject-object. If I hold a picture up in front of you, do you see the picture? Are you aware of the picture? Yes. Are you the picture? No. I'll hold up another picture. Are you aware of the picture now? Are you the picture? Is there a single picture I can hold up in front of you that's you? No. I should send you home. I know I'm being Zen tonight, right? That's it, grasshopper. There are things in front of you, like pictures. Well, we give them names, thoughts, emotions, form. Are they in front of you? Do you see what comes in through your eyes? Do you hear what comes in through your ears? Are you aware that your thoughts are going on in there and you can't stop them? Are you aware that sometimes they're weird as can be? Are you aware you have these emotions that can be overwhelming? Who's aware of this? If you are feeling love, experiencing love, is it the same you who experiences loneliness and hatred and fear? Or is it a different you? They don't know each other. It's the same you. You who was watching the different pictures is the same you. You who was watching Channel 2, Channel 12, Channel 16, whatever the heck it is, it's the same you watching TV, isn't it? There's only one of you back there. You don't have to try to be non-dual. You are non-dual, which is the deepest teaching. So you're there, back here. People say, Mickey, why do you say back here? You're back here. You're back here looking down at your thoughts. You're back here looking down at the emotions coming from your heart. You're back here looking out to what the world is in front of you. You're not out here. You're in here, aren't you? So what's so complicated about that? There's only one of you. There you are. You're whole, complete. But you are looking at a myriad of things. We say, out of many one. This is out of one many. You are one and you're looking at the many. Okay, so what? So you're here watching TV. There's different things on TV. There's horror shows, there's love stories, there's X-rated channels, there's preachers screaming and yelling about stuff, there's Nature Channel. There's every single channel. What in the world has that got to do with you? You're sitting on a couch watching what's on TV. None of it has anything to do with you, has nothing to do with you. It's all exactly the same. It's something you see. All right. That's what the outside world is, something you see. The inside world is exactly the same. You have myriad thoughts. Some of them nice, some of them not nice, some of them comfortable, some of them not comfortable. You have lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of different kinds of thoughts. So what? None of them are you. They have nothing to do with you any more than the channels on TV. When I say it's nothing to do with you, I mean you who looks at the thoughts are not the thoughts. You're the one who's seeing the thoughts. If you come to me and say, oh, Mickey, you don't understand. You're saying that, but my thoughts are so bad. How do you know? How do you know your thoughts are bad? How do you know your heart's bothering you? Oh, my God, since he left me, my heart's killing me. How do you know that? Because I'm in here and I experience it. How do you know that your heart hurts? You want me to teach you how to have it so your heart doesn't hurt. I will not do that. Because if your heart hurts because your boyfriend left you or because your dog died, it'll hurt because of some other stupid reason. Hearts can hurt. Now, have you noticed? They can feel really good. They can feel really bad. The picture I held in front of you could be pleasant. The picture I held in front of you could be frightening. What's it got to do with you? Nothing. What's the heart got to do with you? Nothing. Oh, boy, you're sorry you came. I am not a normal teacher. I'm not going to teach you how to like your nice heart and not like the other one. I'm going to tell you, if your heart hurts, I don't want to tell you how to fix it. I want to ask you how you know. How do you know? I don't know your heart hurts. How do you know your heart hurts? You're going to not like me. And you're going to get really mad and frustrated. You're going to finally say, because I'm in here and I feel it. So the net result is you're in there and you notice what's going on. Isn't that nice? How hard is it for you to notice that your heart hurts? If you drop a hammer on your toe, how hard is it for you to notice that your toe hurts? No, it's not hard at all. Why? Consciousness notices things. Your consciousness, your awareness of being, will always pay attention to the loudest thing that's in front of it. The hurt heart is very loud. The TV show that you're very interested in is very attractive. It pulls your consciousness into it. You don't hear anybody calling your name. You missed dinner. You didn't feed the kids. It can happen. Consciousness pays attention to what is the strongest thing in front of it that it's interested in. And it's very interested in the hurt heart. Why? I don't know. It's very interested in the hurt toe. You have 9 other toes don't hurt. Pay attention to them. What a stupid thing to do, to pay attention to the one that hurts. But it does, doesn't it? Consciousness gets distracted by and pays attention to what is the noisiest, if you will. Noisiest, nice. Oh my God, she's so beautiful, he's so beautiful. Oh my God, he said, you're paying attention to that, aren't you? Or, oh my God, you hurt me so bad, I can't. You pay attention to the loudest things. It's not even willful. It just happens. Consciousness gets attracted to objects of consciousness in accordance to their intensity, their loudness, their interest, whatever you want to call it. And so now consciousness gets pulled, and this is the key, consciousness gets pulled out of the seat of self. That's a word. Oh my God, I used the word. The seat of self. Until you meditate deeply, until you grow enough to realize you are the self. You are sitting on a couch watching the TV of your mind. You are sitting on the same couch watching the music, the noise of your heart. You are sitting on the couch watching what's going on in the outside world. That is the seat of self, where consciousness abides, where it comes from. How do we say that? Because abides make it sound small. It is a little, here at 1403 Northwest 12th. That's not where consciousness abides. Consciousness is like the sun. The sun radiates, goes all over the place. But there's a place it comes from, isn't there? There's a place your consciousness comes from. It makes me want to cry. This is the deepest thing anyone could ever talk to you about. What is the source of consciousness? That's the spiritual question. That's the spiritual journey. What is the source of consciousness? Where did your consciousness come from? Were you conscious when you were little? Were you aware of things? Have you been conscious the entire time? Is it the same you that was in there when you were little? When you were 6 years old and you looked out through those eyes in the mirror, did it look like it looks now? No. Was it you looking? Don't think about it. That's mind. Intuitively, you understand you have been in there the entire time. You have no age. You're just self-consciousness. The seat of self is where consciousness emanates from. It falls upon these objects that distract it from itself. Something pulls you out. What pulls you out is that your consciousness becomes distracted from the seat of self at the object that it's looking at. Gets distracted by the noise of the mind, gets distracted by the hurt heart, gets distracted by a loud bang or a loud light, a party, a rave going on out there. Okay? It gets distracted. And consciousness, when it gets distracted, gets pulled away from the source of consciousness and radiates its awareness onto the object of consciousness. Is that a bad thing? No, it's a very natural thing. It's how you live. It's how you experience the world. So we're not talking about right or wrong. We're talking about what's going on. Enlightenment under all conditions, deep spiritual growth, awakening, Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature, call it whatever you want, is returning to the seat of self. It is not about a state of mind. That's just another thing you're looking at. My mind never swears it's always nice and always thinks about God. I hope you're not paying attention to it. Why? If you're paying attention to it, then you left the seat of self to pay attention to your thought about God. I'd rather have you experience God. Because the only way you're experiencing divinity is to return to the seat of your being. Why? Because man was created in the image of God. I can get biblical. Man was created in the image of God. What does that mean? Until you get deep enough back into the seat of your being and you start feeling the nature of yourself, which is expansive ecstasy, and you realize you are a direct connection to the divine. In fact, it's beyond. You're not a direct connection to the divine. It is the universal Satchitananda consciousness that is looking down through your eyes. It's all tied to the same consciousness. So when that awareness of being focuses on your thoughts, your emotions, so on, it is like a ray of light leaving the sun and shining on a particular object. It looks like it belongs to that object. It doesn't. It belongs to the sun. The ray of light never ceased to be the sun. Consciousness never ceased to be consciousness. And the source of consciousness is God, is divinity, is the creator of all things. That is the consciousness. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. The Lord is one. The Lord is one. That's what made Abraham so special, the father of all these traditions. One God, one force, all merged, one. And yoga teaches it epitome. What does the word yoga mean? It means union. The Sanskrit word yoga literally means union. When Atman merges with Paramatman, when the individual self, the individual consciousness falls back into the ocean of consciousness, the universal. So that awareness gets distracted by what interests it. And therefore, that's the fall from the garden. You leave the seat of absolute ecstasy and total well-being effortlessly. Why are you so happy? I don't know. I guess I was made that way. That's how it should be. If there's a reason for your happiness, you're not keeping it. Because things come and go. If there's no reason for your happiness, come visit me. Okay, if you happen to find yourself in ecstasy all the time and you don't even know why, you don't even want to think about it because you're in ecstasy, you've reached a very nice spiritual state. But what happens is consciousness is distracted, pulled down to focus on objects of consciousness. And I've told you that objects of consciousness are myriad. How many different kinds of thoughts can you have in a moment? It's so funny. And whatever one you're having, you feel in accordance to its vibration. Now, that's very deep. We're going to talk to you about. Not mystical. If you have a thought that's about your dog that died 3 years ago, and it really was traumatic to you, and 3 years later you have a thought, how are you feeling? Oh, happy. No, you're not feeling happy. You're feeling in accordance to the vibration of that thought. Thoughts have vibrations. Some of them are high and some of them are low. Have you noticed? When consciousness gets pulled into a particular thought, it experiences that. When light or the flashlight shines on a particular object, it takes on the shape of the object. It's not. The light is not the object. You could shine it anywhere you want. When consciousness falls upon a particular object of consciousness, I'm not going to say it takes on the quality. It doesn't take on any quality. The light did not take on the quality of what it's shining on. If the light shined on something for 6,000 years and never moved, and you moved it, it's exactly as pure as it was the day it shined anywhere else. Light does not take on the quality of what it's illumining. It just looks like it does while it's there. It illumines the object. They are very separate things, light and the object it's shining on. Your consciousness does not take on the quality of what it is aware of. But because it's aware of it, that's what it experiences. Because the light is shining on the object, that's what it sees. But it doesn't make the light what it's shining on. All right? The self is liberated. The self has no karma. Nothing. You have no karma. Your mind's got plenty. Your heart's got plenty. Your body's got plenty. You've done things and they left impressions on your mind, so your mind thinks a certain way. That's your karma. You've hurt people, so your heart is scared, and then somebody hurts you and it reminds you of this, and it's a big mess. That's the karma. Your body's done things. You yelled at somebody, and you lied, and you yelled to them and made them feel terrible, and then they told other people and they won't talk to you anymore. That's your karma. You set things into motion. That has nothing to do with self. Self is in there experiencing the karma. Doesn't have any karma. That's why they say at the moment of enlightenment, all seeds of karma are burned instantaneously. Here, the light is shining on a broken thing. For 6,000 years it deteriorated and it's falling apart. At the moment of enlightenment, meaning moving the light becomes liberated. It has no karma or ownership of what it was shining on. It doesn't take any of it with it. That's the nature of self. Self is consciousness that is aware of what it's aware of. And what it's aware of is a mess. A big karmic knot of mess that's complaining and not happy and complaining that the heart hurts and the mind goes crazy, blah, 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 blah. That's what it pays attention to. But now you understand you're a great being. What part of you is a great being? I'm a great being. I'm smart. I have a lot of money. Not that part. I can meditate 6 hours a day. I can do yoga better than anybody else. That's not a great being. You're a great being. You in there. You're the highest thing ever walked the face of the earth. I can say that. I'm a nice Jewish yogi. I get to say that. No lightning has ever fallen down out of the sky. Why? Because Christ said, and I teach you this, because what he said was, as I sit by the throne of my Father, that is a state of consciousness. Christ was a high being. As my consciousness rests in the presence of God, of my Father, as I sit the throne by my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. You're capable of sitting in the same state of consciousness. That's nice to know, isn't it? In terms of self, you are a great pure being. The problem is, You can't experience that. So you say, why don't I experience that? Because I don't experience joy and bliss all the time. Lucky if I felt it 3 times in my entire life. So why don't I? Because you're experiencing what you're experiencing. So that which is ecstasy and joy and wonderful. Here, you just got married, you had a child, you have a beautiful house, you have no financial problems. It is just the pinnacle of your life. That's what you are, the moment of your life. And all of a sudden you go by and there's a TV on, and it's about something that really interests you, that you never understood. Why your father left you when you were 6. Or who were your parents, because now you're finding out you were adopted, and that's what the TV show's about. You know how long you're going to feel happy? About 1 second. All that joy of your well-being and everything's wonderful, you're not paying attention to that anymore. You're paying attention to this problematic thing that has always bothered you. Now you're bothered. How long does it take for you to become bothered? It takes as much time as it takes for a flashlight to shine on something else. That's what's happening. So you don't feel your joy, your ecstasy, your divinity. It is indeed your light, because you are shining your consciousness on things that are not that. You're shining your consciousness on the fact that your dog died 3 years ago. You're shining your consciousness on the fact that you had a bad marriage and you got divorced. You're shining your consciousness on the fact that your sister got the bicycle you wanted when you were 6. And go ask Freud, he'll tell you. That's where psychology comes in. It says, I won't say it, I always do, but I won't say it this time, right? I'll let all the psychology say it. Everything that ever bothered you, you kept inside yourself. If somebody cut you off driving, you're afraid to go to that intersection 10 years later, and you're afraid to see a car that looks like that, you'll go the other way. If you got divorced 15 years ago, and all of a sudden somebody says, oh, did you know George was at the party? You leave. 15 years ago? You leave? Yes. You bet, I'm out of here. You have stored inside of you all of these problems. Anything you call out to somebody, hey, Sally, how you doing? She's your friend. She doesn't turn around and say hello. She doesn't recognize you. You're in trouble. And so is she. That's not acceptable. That's not okay. If you don't see Sally again for 4 days, you're weird when you see her again. Your heart goes like this. Your mind goes, does she not like me? Did she hear something? Did she hear that I said something about her? No, she couldn't have heard that. And so, all of a sudden, your whole relationship with Sally screwed up because she said, hi, Sally. There's 7.5 billion people on the earth. They didn't say hello either. We are very sensitive. And anything that happens that bothers us, we store inside ourselves. Will you own that? Do you understand that? So now, if your consciousness is going to be distracted by powerful energies, those are powerful energies. By definition, they're the ones that bothered you when they happen. They still bother you, don't they, when they come back up? It comes back up, it still bothers you. So that's what draws your consciousness to it. So your consciousness is being pulled out of ecstasy in order to hang out with mess. Spirituality is simple. There it is. That's what's happening. It is true that you are pure ecstasy. The nature of your being is God. It's beautiful. It's divinity. It's everything the great masters talk about. It's nirvana to Buddha. Why can't I experience that? Because you are distracted. If something is really beautiful here, he's a handsome, beautiful young man. Somebody told me there's a handsome, beautiful young man over there while I'm looking here. I don't see him. You're not looking at him. You're looking at something else. I'm sitting here telling you you are pure ecstasy. I don't see it. Of course you don't. You're looking at the mind that's full of all the stuff you stored your entire life that bothered you. The last channel in the world you want to turn to on the TV is the one that knows every single thing that ever bothered you and is running a series that never runs out. And it doesn't run every week. It runs every minute. It's on all the time. And it just keeps bringing up different things that bothered you. Why would you want to watch that? But guess what? I guarantee you would never take your eyes off of it. If there was another channel that was nicer and there's a nature channel and this channel, that channel, no way, you're going right back there. But there's a reason for that. I make it funny, there's a reason for that. Obviously, the stuff that bothered you is not comfortable. And you stored it inside. Well, that's not comfortable. And you want to know what? It doesn't want to be in there. You had to hold it in there. I'll prove it to you. It tries to come back up every chance it can. Anything reminds you of it, even abstractly, all of a sudden your stuff's coming up. I'll prove it to you even more. Ready? When you go to sleep, meaning you're not in your conscious, aware state with all your will and control, what does Freud say goes on in your dreams? That stuff comes back up. If it comes back up strong enough, you wake up in a cold sweat having a nightmare, even a recurring one. What is that telling you? It does not want to be down there. You're not bringing it back up. The minute you go off duty, it comes up. The minute you're not there suppressing it, willfully making sure nobody reminds you of it, the stuff's going to come back up unless you keep it down. And then when you go to sleep, it proves to you it doesn't want to be down there. All right, she's off duty. Come on up. Wow. So net result is this stuff does not want to stay down there. It's not natural. It's not natural that events happened and you were not able to process them. You were not able to let them pass through and become finished, become neutralized. You're not supposed to have this stuff inside of you. No one ever tells you that. They make it sound natural to be screwed up. If you start collecting every single thing that ever bothered you inside of you, you're going to be bothered. If that's what you do, make a storehouse, a collection, a hobby. He collects coins, he collects stamps, she collects bad experiences. I don't know. That's not such a good hobby. So if you store everything that ever bothered you inside of you, I am telling you, you're going to be bothered. I don't care whether you get married. I don't care whether you find this. I don't care if you get rich. I don't care what you do. It has nothing to do with the outside. Nothing. You're trying to use the outside to compensate for the mess you made. All this went wrong. I stored it. Nobody likes me, this and that. But I found out that I can play the piano really well. And if I can be accepted like that, I'll feel better about myself. Have fun. Because you're putting stuff on top of your stuff. And you will never feel right. I don't care if you're the most popular pianist that ever lived. Every single time you go to sit down, you'll be scared. Because you need to impress everybody. Do you understand that? If 750 people applaud and one gets up and walked out, it will bother you. Anybody know anything about this? Do you find that there's some trouble in there, right? It's because you're trying to use the outside world to compensate that you don't have to feel all this stuff that's going on inside of you. When you go to sleep, it's there. When you're taking a shower, it's there. You're driving a car by yourself, it's there. Well, that's why you play the radio real loud. That's why you have to be entertained all the time. That's why you like going on vacations. Why do you like going on vacations? If you loved your life, they have to pay you to do something, pry you away. Here, you're madly in love, you just fell in love, you're totally in love. I want you to take a vacation from him. That's not a vacation. So every single thing that every single person is doing all the time is all driven by the fact that they have stored every single experience that bothered them inside themselves, and now their consciousness, which is ecstasy, is being drawn into the garbage all the time, pretty much all the time, and so you don't experience your well-being. If you're not looking at it, you don't experience it. You're experiencing what you're looking at. What you're looking at is what you see. You don't see what you're not looking at. It's exactly the same inside. So your consciousness, even though it is beautiful and divine and ecstatic, is looking at something that, to say the least, is not. Okay? And it's less than not, but it's very distracting. If you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the thought, there's a poster about a puppy dog and it makes you think about your dog that died, you are not doing well. Right. What everybody tries to do about that is to create situations outside that when they come in, at a minimum, don't hit your stuff. Nobody wants their stuff to get hit. Nobody wants all that stuff being stirred up so they feel insecure and guilty and fear and all that kind of garbage and rejection. We don't like that, do we? Yet all that stuff you have in there is that. That's why you stored it in there. So it's not hard for that to come back up. So you have to find just the right person and just the right job and just the right situation and just the right thing and every single thing that I call it tiptoe through the tulips. So you have to kind of be real careful what goes on. There are times that it works. Not very many times, right? If I asked you how many times in your life have you felt ecstatic experience of total freedom inside yourself that if you could, you push a button, it would never change? If you're lucky, 3, usually none. What percentage of your life has you lived in a state that you don't need anything? Everything's complete and whole within your entire being. And if you could, you would just sit there in the dark and experience the beauty that's going on inside of you. What you want to do always is to experience the nicer feelings. Therefore, you go out there and try to fight and struggle with the world to make it so that when you experience it, it feels better. And, that you're destined to that kind of life. Yoga says, no, that's an absurd life. That's an absurd life. You're fighting with people, places, things, everything, every minute. How in the world can you get every minute to be the way you want? You don't even know what you want. It keeps changing. That's why it's so hard. Spirituality is never about renunciation. Spirituality is about, I've spent my whole life trying to get things a certain way from the time I can remember. From the whole life I've tried, and I'm not okay. That's how you know it doesn't work. How do I know it doesn't work? You're the proof. You've been doing it every single minute of every single second of your entire life, and you're still doing it. What? Trying to be okay. Well, why would I not try to be okay? Because there's a party that is okay, and you don't have to try. And what you're doing is hanging out with a party that's not okay and trying to make things not hit it. Do you see the difference? All right. Spirituality is about returning to the seat of self. How do you do that? You reverse the process that got you lost. Always, that's the way. If something's broken, find out how it got broken and move it backwards. Work at the root. How did I get lost? You stored stuff that is disturbing so that now you can't return to the seat of self because you're too addicted to your problems. You're too addicted to finding a husband. You're too addicted to having another child. You're too addicted to getting a better job. You're too addicted to look really good so you can attract people so that they'll like you. You're too addicted to selling yourself every time you open your mouth. Oh my God, what did I say? It was so stupid. I should get my mouth. Whew. You are 100% addicted to trying to make what's not okay, okay, instead of returning to part of your being that is okay. That's called liberation, freedom, jivan mukta, a liberated soul. When it's said and done, there is nothing you have to do. Nothing in order to be okay. You are okay. Now, just in case your mind said, well, why would I want to go there? What's the purpose of my life and how do I help other people? Because when you're okay, you don't need to take from other people. So to be in a situation where you're okay, when you're interacting with people, places, and things, you don't need anything. You're not renouncing. You're okay. You're more than okay. You're ecstatic. So what do? Express your beauty. Give, help, serve. When you don't need anything, it's not hard. A highly evolved spiritual being is so filled with love, they don't need any more. They're not taking it from anybody. They're not trying to do anything. Filled with love. They're filled with joy. They don't need to go anywhere, do anything, buy anything. They're complete and whole within themselves. So when they come into the world, they are the light of the world. That's what's meant by that. They're not trying to serve. It's just natural. It just comes off their being. And all of a sudden, that's what you do with your life. You express the beauty that's inside of you instead of trying to get. You understand you're always trying to get. I know we like to think we're high beings. Pay attention. You're always trying to get. Even when you meditate, you're trying to get something. I'm nervous. I'm uptight. I need to meditate. It's a state of need, and you're trying to get something for yourself. There is a state in which there is no need. It's total well-being. You know what meditation's like then? You can't stay out. It's your natural state. The true meditation, according to Patanjali, is to meditate on the seat of self, to meditate on the self. Well, if you're not being pulled away from self, because you're okay, you just fall into those states all the time. You have to learn how to drive while you're in that state. Literally, your problem is now, how can I be in ecstasy and still talk to people and drive and do different things? That'd be a major problem. Some people have to learn to hold their liquor. You have to learn to hold your ecstasy. All right? I want you to go there. Don't worry about it. So the problem is not you. It's not your state of being. You have beauty inside of you. The problem is you're looking the other way. So now the whole path becomes, how do I learn to not look the other way? True spiritual growth is very simple. If the problem is you're being distracted by something, how can you get distracted from ecstasy? It's like if you love somebody and you're in their embrace and there's a gentle little buzz way in the background, I hope you don't hear it. You shouldn't be distracted by some stupid little thing. You should be distracted by the beauty that's going on in front of you. You shouldn't be distracted by the garbage of your mind or your heart or that kind of stuff. You should be distracted, pulled into the ecstasy that goes within your being. But that's not what's happening. I am distracted because I have stored the things that bothered me before, and they still bother me, so I'm distracted by them. Of course I'm distracted by them. You don't understand, my parents got divorced. You don't know how hard it was. You don't understand. It was 40 years ago. What's it still doing in there? And why do you keep paying attention to it? It's pulling you out of the seat of self. And so now we have a few minutes left. How do I not? Learn to not store this stuff inside of you. Because if you're going to store what bothers you inside of you, you're going to continue being distracted by it because you're bothered by it. And you wonder why you're not doing well. Because you're paying attention to the part of you that's not doing well. Instead of paying attention to the part of you that would blow you open because it's so beautiful. They're both in there simultaneously. All right? So how do you do this? For years and years, I refused to teach techniques. Why? A drug addict finds his drugs. No one has to teach him. Somebody who wants money finds ways to get it, legal or otherwise. Pretty amazing how much ingenuity you all have when you want something. I want you to want this enough to figure out how to do it. Are there techniques? Yeah, there's 1,000 billion techniques. They're wonderful. Whatever works, use them. It's wonderful. Anything you do to raise yourself, to help get rid of this stuff, I am in favor of it. But of late, because people demand it of me, I wouldn't call them techniques. They're just obvious. They're obvious. I told you, it's like stopping smoking. I will tell you how to stop smoking. Any of you, I hope you don't, but any of you smoke, I'll tell you how to stop smoking. Listen carefully. Stop putting cigarettes in your mouth and just stop smoking. It's an amazing thing. 100% success. Now, why is that important? Because you're the one who's putting the cigarette in your mouth. I don't need to teach you how to not put a cigarette in your mouth. Just don't do it. You got to move your hand, and do this, and don't do that. And all of a sudden you stop smoking. It's the same thing with the stuff inside of you. If you don't want that stuff inside of you, I'm going to give you two things. One, stop putting more in there. Don't worry about what's already in there. You need to learn how to not put stuff in there before you can get rid of the stuff that you stored in there. You need to learn. If we're going to play the piano, we're not going to start with Chopin or Mozart or Beethoven. We're going to start with the scales. The only way it works, isn't it? That's what I'm telling you about this. You need to learn, you in there, the consciousness, needs to learn to not store stuff that's happening now. We'll worry about the other stuff later. We'll worry about Beethoven later. Now we want to learn our scales. So we learn the skills of what's called letting go. Non-resistance, surrender. That's what you need to do. So I teach you the same thing every night. If it's raining when you don't want it to, there's a perfect place to play your scales. Because you ain't going to stop the rain, and you have no right to not like the fact that it's raining. You have no more right to not like the fact that it's raining than you do to not like the fact that Saturn has rings. Did you know that Mars is going to come to the closest that it's almost ever been in 60,000 years or something? Its average was 140 million miles away. It's going to be 36 million miles away. At its furthest point, it's 240. It's going to be 36, 37 million miles away. That's how much closer it is. I don't like that. I don't want Mars to do that. You don't get to do that, do you? What's the difference between that and the rain? You're not liking it does nothing but cause you trouble. It doesn't change a thing. A driver in front of you is driving 50 miles an hour below the speed limit. You're in a rush. Try to pass. I can't. It's single lines, double line, and single, and there's cars coming. Okay, babe. You got two choices. Accept it or resist it. You ain't getting anywhere with the resistance, except you're building another one of those problems. You may never use that road again. Have fun. Pretty soon you'll run out of roads. This is what we do. So you decide to practice your scales. It makes me want to cry. You don't think it matters that you don't like the fact that it rains. It does matter. You don't think it matters that you didn't like that Sally didn't say hello. It does matter. You don't think it matters that you didn't like and you get yourself upset because the driver in front of you doesn't use the blinkers or does this or does that. You're wrong. It is that act of resistance to reality that stores the stuff inside of you. Otherwise, it goes by. I'm driving on the street. He's driving slower. I'm driving slower. Let's watch the roses, right? And then he turns off. Thank you. And you drive down the road. It didn't leave any marks. It didn't do anything. It's comfortable. So you start with that simple little small stuff. I beg you, every single second of every single day, be conscious and aware of what you're doing in there. You who live in there, hi. Make it nice in there. Use affirmation, use positive thinking, use mantra. Ultimately, just relax. Relax in the face of this tendency to resist. If you are relaxing, you cannot resist. Here, watch. Let's have an arm wrestle. I'll arm wrestle you. Here, you're big, strong. I'll arm wrestle you. But do me a favor. Just relax. Relax totally. Relax your arm. Boop. If you are relaxing, you cannot resist. Tension, effort are an act of resistance. Relaxation is the opposite. If you in there relax when this disturbing, very disturbing thing, it's raining, we don't want it to, or the drivers, whatever it is, don't pick on yourself, right? But basically, if you will relax when that takes place, you gave it room to pass through. If you don't resist it, it's passing through. So I'm asking you to start with these tiny little things all day. Wait till you see how many there are. All right? Let it go. Practice letting go. Practice relaxing and releasing the best you can. And what you will do is learn how to do it. And if you learn how to relax and release over these meaningless, I call them low-hanging fruit, these meaningless things that they don't do any good but cause you trouble, right? You're causing yourself trouble, excuse me, right? You're giving yourself, the world is not bothering you, you're bothering yourself about the world. The rain doesn't bother you, you're bothering yourself about the rain. The car in front of you doesn't bother you, you're bothering yourself about the car in front of you. You see the difference? Stop it. You have to stop that. That's playing the scales. And what you're going to find out, if you can do that, your life will change. And then what's going to happen is something bigger will come up from before. Do the same thing. Play the same scales. Play the same fingers. Thumbs up. Used to bother you. Relax. Relax. It's just like the rain, just like the car. Let it go. And it will go. It may take a few times. It's not going to go all at once. Don't worry. It's been there a long time. But the fact that you can handle it means you can let it go. And then a bigger one will come up. And then something bigger will happen outside that used to freak you out. You, oh my God. And you realize, let it go. Let it go. And somehow it always works out. Always works out. Life just comes and goes. If you're not bothered by it, it's not bothered by you. It just keeps flowing by. And then all of a sudden, one day, it'll happen, whether it's sudden or slowly. You won't realize it. I mean, you'll realize it, but you don't know where it came from. It snuck up on you. You're letting go, and all of a sudden, you feel joy. You feel joy. It starts raining. You start getting uptight, you let go, and all of a sudden, you feel this happiness, this joy to get wet. And you just start feeling joy because you're starting to tune back into the seat of self. The things that used to distract you, the rain, the this, the that, now can't distract you because you let them go. And naturally, because you're not being pulled down to them, you will find yourself in the seat. You don't go there. You don't seek self. You are self. You do not seek self. You let go of what's drawing you away from it. It is always about letting go. It is never about getting and doing. It's about releasing, releasing. And if you do that, you will start to feel joy. And when you start to feel the joy, since it's so beautiful, it encourages you to not get distracted by the stuff. Who wants to trade it off? Here's a beautiful experience and a terrible experience. Which one you want? All right? And then you start feeling joy enough to where you never felt that much joy at any moment ever in your life. That's how much joy you're feeling inside naturally. Well, then why am I messing around with all that other stuff? That's all I was trying to get anyways. That's why I say in the Bible, it says, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and all thy mind. No, not thou shalt, thou dost. Because that is God. The ecstasy is you're tuning back into spirit. You already love that more than anything in the whole world. You're running around trying to get it. All right? So this is where the whole upward journey takes place. And eventually, if you keep letting go enough and purify inside by letting this stuff go, the energy, Shakti, Chi, spirit, will flow up strong enough where it will pull you into it. And now it starts to pull you into the higher states. And you can experience and realize, whether you've gone there or there or not, that it could pull you back enough to where you lose yourself. Just lose yourself. Meher Baba said the first time he fell into that deep samadhi, it was like a drop of water falling into the ocean. Find it. He could never find himself again. He just merged with the infinite. All right? So I told you, spirituality is very simple. It is about letting go of the things that are pulling you away from yourself. Not about renouncing them. That's a totally different thing. Renouncing them means I think that if she loves me, I'll be okay, but I won't do it. No, that's too late. You know, now you're doubly distracted. You're distracted by the object, and you're distracted by fighting to not be distracted by the object. You have to let go at the deepest level, but you will only be able to do that by learning little by little with simpler things. Practice letting go. Practice letting go. I was tough with him. If I was eating something and it really tasted good, I would take a little corner and put it on the side of the plate and not let him eat it.
Not for the purpose of renunciation, for the purpose of learning to let go. Who's the boss in here? Me, not him. I don't care about his problems. I have to hit him. I have to be mean to him. But he's not me. And Master used to say, regain your kingdom. You don't want to lose him there. You ceded your power to your mess, didn't you? All right? All right. Very good. I hope you understand these things. I hope you understand how simple it is. It's not easy to do, but it's simple. It is always about letting go. Because you who's letting go is where you want to go. It is the process within itself. Very good. Jai Gurudev.